السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم فقهنا في الدين. ربي زدني علما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum again, everybody. If you are a new member to this channel, I would just like to extend a huge welcome to you, and I hope that you find what you are looking for on this channel, inshallah. If you are a returning member of this channel, I also want to let you know that this video is going to be a little bit different from the other videos that you have seen on this channel, and that this is just going to be a short review of a topic that we have covered before in one of our previous lectures. So for today, the first lecture of our mini-series is going to cover, inshallah, signs of an ism, علامات الاسم. Okay? Let's begin with our strong signs. So strong signs are called strong because they are the most common, frequent, and relevant in the Quran. Okay, so these are the signs that you see the most, and these are the signs that you can count on. So if you see them in a word, it is most likely that that word is going to be an ism. Okay, so let's start with tam and buta first. If you see tam and buta at the end of a word, that word is going to be an ism. Okay, so tam and buta at the end of a word tells you that it is an ism. And if you remember from our lecture on gender, it also tells you that it is going to be most likely a feminine word. Not all words that end with tam and buta are feminine, but for the most part, they are going to be feminine. So anytime you see tam and buta at the end of a word, think to yourself, A, this is an ism, and B, this is most likely a feminine word. Okay? Number two, if you see an al at the beginning of a word, okay? Al at the beginning of a word is most definitely going to tell you that this is an ism, okay? There is no dispute, there is no disagreement, there is no debate or confusion on this, okay? Inshallah, if you see al at the beginning of a word, this is your ism. Thirdly, if you see tanween at the end of a word, tanween at the end of a word could be fathatain, it could be kasratain, it could be dammatain, but for the most part, if you see a tanween at the end of a word, it is going to be an ism. And I say for the most part because there are exceptions, okay? There are exceptions, and if you would like to study those exceptions, or if you don't know those exceptions and would like to know about them, then I would suggest you go to session number 1 on our channel, and it's going to delineate the exceptions very well for you, inshallah. But for the purposes of today's lecture, just remember that most words that end in tanween are going to be isms, okay? And finally, most words beginning with the letter mim are also going to be isms, okay? For example, words like Muslim or munafiq or mu'min or masjid, all of these are words that begin with the letter mim. And that mim at the beginning tells you that this word is indeed an ism, okay? Now on to our weak signs of an ism. Weak signs of an ism are going to be called weak because they are less common and less frequent in the Quran, and typically they have more exceptions associated with them, okay? But you should still try your best to memorize these as well, inshallah, okay? So firstly, if a word is preceded by harf jar, if you don't remember what harf jar is basically a harf that makes the ism after into jar status. So these are ba, ta, kaf, lam, waw, min, fi, an, ala, hatta, ila. Again, if you don't know what huruf jar are or you forget them, please visit the front page of our channel, and inshallah you will find a lecture that is dedicated to huruf jar, and it does a really good job of going through all of the harf that you will see in the Quran, and it's more in-depth, more detail oriented, and if you're new to it, I would suggest first going to that lecture, inshallah. So do remember, for the purposes of today's session, remember that if you see harf jar, the word after is most likely going to be an ism, okay? Secondly, if a word is preceded by harf nida. In the Quran, the only harf nida that you are going to see is going to be ya. So if you see ya, the word after it is going to be an ism, okay? So for example, ya Nuhu, ya Adamu, ya Isa, all of these are examples of phrases that have ya at the beginning, and that ya at the beginning is the sign and indicator that the word after the ya is going to be an ism, okay? And finally, if a word is ism nisba, okay? Ism nisba is basically a word that ends in ya, okay? Its telltale sign is going to be that it ends in a ya, and it's usually going to tell you something about the origin of a place or of a person or of a thing, okay? For example, words like Makki or Madani or Amriki or Bengali or Bukhari. For example, Imam Bukhari, he was from a city called Bukhara, so that is why he was called Bukhari, meaning coming from Bukhara. Okay, if somebody says that I am Bengali, then that person is from Bangladesh, right? If we're talking about a Qurani ayah, it is an ayah coming from the Quran, okay? So it's telling us where something or some person is coming from. If you see any word like this in the Quran, it is going to indeed be an ism, okay? So any ism nisba is obviously, as the name tells, is going to be an ism, inshallah. So if you learn all of your strong signs and weak signs of an ism, inshallah, you're going to have a very low chance of missing any isms in the Quran when you start your study of them. So please make sure that you try to review these and do your best to memorize them to the best of your ability, inshallah, and it will make your journey of finding isms in the Quran, inshallah, very easy. Okay? If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions, please be sure to leave them in the comment section below. And inshallah, we will do our best to get back to them. And if you would like a more in-depth session on these signs of an ism along with the exceptions, again, I would strongly encourage you to go to session number 1 on our channel. And inshallah, you will find a very, very good explanation and lecture on them. Okay? Jazakumullahu khairan, and inshallah, till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.